Hello there and welcome. In this video, I want to talk about 10 things that I feel like will help you out when you're new to Rimworld, and I hope that by the end of this video, I've given you a couple of things that will make life easier for your colonists and most importantly, ensure fun. Because I have already spent more than 2,000 hours on this game, I still keep learning new things because for one, the game evolves, there's mods, so many things. The stuff in this video, though, is meant to work regardless which DLC you work. Most of it is totally oriented towards vanilla players, so I really did my best to give you a couple of thinking points without giving you a hard formula how to do things. So I hope this will help you out either way, so let me know what you thought, and here goes. So in number one, I want to talk biomes, because biomes totally define the experience that we got when we're playing something. The most easy biomes to play are for sure the temperate forest, directly followed by the arid shrubland. When you want a little bit more challenge in certain areas, because more hostile enemies and a little bit less availability of timber, arid shrubland is way to go. And when you're totally new to the game and you just want to know how things understand, the temperate forest is your best friend. Once you know what you're doing, I can only recommend to take a stroll into the desert or the jungle or the swamps and try out your life in all these different biomes. They are, in all respects, completely different gameplay experiences. The boreal forest is also among the easiest ones. It is, for me, rank 3 of the easiest. Actually rank 2. Arid shrubland is rank 3. Boreal forest is cold, but beyond that, there's plenty of game to hunt, lots of timber to burn, so the cold doesn't really threaten you at all. All in all, these are the easiest. From that on out, really, try tundra, try ice sheet. Probably not, that's one of the most brutal that you can't pick, but you get the idea. Try to go for the easiest first, and then once boredom kicks in, you can settle down elsewhere. So, number two, the skills that you want to bring. I am not really a fan of saying you need to have this and that and whatnot in your starting colony. I've boiled it down to a couple of really massive to have, nice to have, and skills. So, really massive to have right from the get-go. Somebody with passion for construction, because the best stuff in the game can only be constructed when you have a certain level, and the faster they learn, the faster they build, and the sturdy things, the good things, do take a lot of time to build. Good construction values help out with that. All in all, construction is really massive. On top of that, medical. Somebody with a double-digit medical value is really priceless. Having two of these guys in your colony almost ensures survival of the most vicious things, regardless of availability of medicine or not. That is how massive this is of an impact. And alongside with that, cooking. Because cooking levels painfully slow and inflicts really annoying statuses when you are terribly low in cooking. So all in all, this is another really good thing to have. Apart from that, I really don't say that you really have any hard necessities. In all honesty, construction, cooking, and medical are the three things that I look for most nowadays, because everything else can be learned. Which brings me to the next category, nice to haves. Plants, mining, shooting, and nowadays also social, crafting, and animals. You notice a trend, almost anything else is in that list. The only things that I excluded were art, intellectual, and melee, because these are pretty much fringe cases, and specialists on these, one of them is more than enough. In many cases, like intellectual, you don't even need a specialist. You can just grind it up with anybody else. So, number three, traits to avoid. I want to go this time the other way around and not teach you to look for specific traits on everybody. No, it's more like what things shouldn't a colonist bring to avoid a difficult time when you're just starting out. So number one thing here is incapable of violence. This colony doesn't have a single one of them, but people that are incapable of violence are difficult to manage, because the game does scale up by the number of people in your colony difficulty-wise. If anybody of them can't fight, you really notice that, because you still get the enemies added on top of that, which the guy can't beat them. So, the other thing here, skill labor, hauling, dumb labor. These three things, if they are excluded on the list, make a colonist really painful to handle. Because look at our friend Bennett here, he's really not into most of the useful things, so I decided to make him a scientist because this guy just he started on intellectual zero. Anyways, so altogether, these are things that you should look out mostly for. Next on the hierarchy, things like medical conditions that really mess you up. Bad backs, dementia, cancer, things like these. Check out the health tab. It really is worth a look, and check out their age. The older they get, the more likelihood they have to develop more of these conditions. Beyond that, most of the other bad traits are really something you can't handle. One of the things, though, that really regularly messes me up is chemical fascination, interest, and all several different degrees, and people that work or move slow, and people that come with a bad mood by nature. These are by far the most difficult ones, directly followed by wimps that just keel over when they get damaged. That can be also really, really problematic. So, number 4, difficulties. So this is something that I really want to stress out here. For one, here in the options menu in gameplay, you can at all times modify the difficulty level if anything isn't to your liking. I can strongly recommend to dive into the custom slider here to check on out what bothers you most and modify it. The threat scale, though, is what I want to talk about most here. The thing is, 100% is a rough ride, even for an experienced player. It's easy if you know the cheese strategies, then it is a walk in the park to play 100%, but when you are not totally abusing any gameplay mechanics and are aware of what you have to do in specific scenarios, 100% threat scale is almost guaranteed to kill you eventually. Really, I mean it. So you either go for a safe scum gameplay where you just say, yeah, I accept it when something bad happens, I just reload, or you consider lowering the difficulty level to adventure story, which is for me personally really the sweet spot for beginners that like to have a challenge, but community builder is really no bad starting point because Rimworld is combat-wise one hell of a beast, and there are so many things that you can know, and should use in the regular difficulty level that I would recommend to take it slowly if you're not that much into the combat aspect, but more about the story and colony builder aspect of the game. Which brings me directly to number 5, ranged weapons and some place to take cover. So in Rimworld, ranged weapons are really the top of the ladder and should be always taken when you can. The best weapons are automatic weapons or weapons that fire fast and hit hard. The king of the hill for me, for melee ranged, is the chain shotgun, and if you're looking for a solid all-rounder gun that is really shining in every aspect, the assault rifle is absolutely way to go. But don't look bad at any of these guns. My recommendation is, if you find a gun and your people aren't fully equipped, take them in your hands, try them out, hunt things with them, and check on out how you like them. Cover for gunfights is absolutely imperative. Eventually you want to build barricades where people can hide behind, but already in the beginning, a cluster of chunks to put your people behind, these here do make cover too, is something to begin with. You can also use here spots like these at the walls, but eventually highly recommended to bring up barricades, sandbags, walls to hide behind, because cover is massively important. Injuries in Rimworld are among the most horrible things that can happen to a colonist. One single bullet can destroy organs, limbs, and whatnot, or even kill a person if the shot is unlucky. So use ranged weapons and use cover. The rest will come with time. I don't want to go too deep in here because it's a whole deep can of worms that I could make an entire video about. I also did, by the way. So number 6, let's talk food. So food is among the most important things to have in your stockpiles. Therefore, try to get yourself some agriculture going. A field like that is, well, enough for, I would say, 3 people for the entirety of the year, multiply that accordingly. It is hard to tell though how many people you will get through because the cases will differ. There's different temperatures and all. My personal go-to tactic is get yourself electricity going, get yourself a room going where you have a cooler unit that puts it onto freeze and freeze the stuff. If you can't, try to live off the stuff that comes out of the ground most, because except for berries, all of these items have a really decent shelf life without refrigeration. If refrigeration is not available at all under any circumstances, pemmican allows you to mix meat with vegetables to make it really long lasting, which allows you to hunt down game in your area, prefer the ones that don't have revenge chance, take good care and really carefully approach anything with a revenge chance. And yeah, this way you can transform quickly expiring meat into pemmican, which basically is the perfect traveling ration for most of the time of the game until you research packaged survival meals, but these are luxury. Anyways, in short, you want to have as much food as possible, and you want to have that food on the highest possible shelf life and or refrigeration at the same time. The easiest way for me to accomplish that are wind turbines and solar panels plus batteries. This gives you pretty much a all-around combination of power availability to the entire time, and if that is ever letting you down, wood-fired generators are also an option, especially if the biome is rich in timber. You can really take them as a backup option or even a kickstart. It's up to you. So, number 7, defensive architecture. So, as you see here, I have already encased this thing. There's only a few basics that I want to leave in this video that are absolutely important. For one, whatever fortification you build, leave an entrance that the enemy can enter through. Guard this entrance. Make it as bad as possible for the enemy and as good as possible for you. The in-game term is a kill box. If you want to look at tutorials about that, this is the word that you need to look for. But this here is for beginners, already a pretty good start, except for the lack of a barricade. Something like this here, for example. This is already something you can work with. Another thing that I want to emphasize, traps are amazing. Put them on the corners because the enemy likes to walk alongside of the wall because of cover reasons. So everywhere where the enemy might be walking along to take cover, you can place down these spike traps. Made out of wood, they are a root-growing resource. Their damage is decent, and enough of these can stop an entire raid. Intelligent and creative positioning can even get you a method that kills enemies before they ever enter your base. Be creative with that. Defensive architecture is very much a important part of Rimworld's difficulty scaling, and you can defend your base not only with your people but also with building pots. That is the integral thing. And like I said, check out the keyword kill boxes if you want to go really deep into that topic and experience what's in the box there. Pun intended. So, number 8, technology basics. I've already covered a few things. When you start out with the crash landed start, which is for me the one that I would recommend for beginners most, try to get yourself batteries, solar panels as the very first technologies, because this gives you the ability to generate as much power as you want to anywhere most of the time until the weather kicks in badly, but you get the idea. After that, I love to beeline smithing, machining, gunsmithing, blowback operation, gas operation, microelectronics, precision rifling. I know I went quickly through these. This is because pretty much machining is important. Most of these gun technologies are not so much, until we hit microelectronics, which allows us to trade with orbital traders, which is a massive upgrade. Precision rifling, which allows us to craft the best average gun in the game. Gas operation, which gives us the best melee automatic gun in the game, in my opinion at least. Your mileage may vary, of course. I really want to stress that out. And once these things are done, there's pretty much the basics down. What I can recommend, though, Drug production and paroxysylin. This allows you to get immunity against lots of annoying diseases, which I really love to have. And apart from that, Devil Strand is amazing. Truly, truly amazing. Carpet making is a very useful technology to get a use into cloth. And I already mentioned pemmican. I want to give an honorable mention to tree sowing and cocoa. Cocoa trees are money makers. Really cool stuff. So, apart from that, I really leave it up to you, because once you have these things down, you have the basics. One honorable mention goes to mortars, because these come in really handy from mid-game plus on, and anything that gives you armor effects. I don't mention turrets here too much because I don't like turrets in the game that much, because they mostly cost resources that don't regrow. But here again, your mileage may vary. Number 9, moral. So the moral of your people is really, really important. You have this screen, the mood meter should be something you should be aiming for as soon as you have your colony established. The expectations rise the longer a game goes, and that means you will lose bit by bit this flat bonus. When people remain too long in the yellows and in the orange and in the reds, really bad things happen. This can be enough to make your colony incapable of defending itself. I've had it several times that I lost save files because two of my best fighters were busy killing each other while we are getting a raid in, getting a siege in. Your people should be happy. Here's how. So the easiest things are getting yourself a floor into their bedrooms, get their bedrooms properly geared out, give them end tables, give them dressers, give them art. All these things help. The other thing is upgrade your food diet in the longer run. This is why it's always good to have a lot of food. Simple meals don't yield any upgrade in terms of mood. Fine and lavish meals do. These are also very, very nice ways and means to give your gameplay an edge in terms of stability. Food is such a power card on that end. And everything else, I consider it a luxury. Honorable mention goes to drugs. In extreme situations, drugs can really save your situation, because when somebody is in a very, very bad spot in his life, like good old Bennett here on his go choose withdrawal, this makes a really bad mood happen. He's very, very heavily impacted by that. Other drugs can help. Just pay attention to their addictiveness. Smoke leaf and ambrosia are the most harmless mood boosters that you can go for, because they only create dependencies, not addictions. Dependency and addiction, the difference is only the severity of the mood penalty impact. You need to cure them both, but a dependency is much less of a horrifying thing. Anyways, moving on over to number 10, the last thing in this guide, the most important one for me. When you're playing Rimworld, eventually, when you know what you're doing, set yourself goals. Depending on what you have running here, DLC-wise or not DLC-wise, this might be so many things. It might be to go for one of the endgame quests. You know, there's a couple of them that just will end the game, like Royal Ascent for the royalty, that's the ending game there. You can build a spaceship to leave the planet. You can go and play a nomadic a nomadic trip to the ship to the stars. You might also just decide to build the biggest and baddest mountain colony out there. You might also just decide to build a desert paradise. Whatever it might be, I have discovered that save files where I had an interesting goal, I could play them sometimes 100 hours and more. Save files where I just was playing technically and cheesing out and not having a story in my mind bored me out so terribly quickly that I didn't really do much with them. So a goal where you want to end up with is really something that keeps your save file going and gives you something to work on. I put this in here because this might be not so much of a beginner thing, but I feel like you can't begin early enough in a sandbox game to ponder about what your fantasy might be. What's the story that you want to experience? What's the people that you want to collect? Do you want to go for a psychopathic colony? Do you want to go for some tree-hugging hippies? I can recommend the Ideologen DLC if you want to go really deep into that thing, but you get the idea. So, Thanks for watching. I hope this video helped you out on a little bit. I really did my best to put it not too formulaic, because I really dislike confronting beginners with formulas like, you need 50 pieces of acre for 3 people. No, come on. It is boring out tremendously. General rules apply, and that is really well enough. You will find much more fun in the game when you don't try to min-max too hard. Or go min-maxing if it's your cup of tea. It's a sandbox game, and freedom of approaching how you go for the game is really, really important, and maybe hidden number 11 here. Either way, leave a comment, leave a like, leave a subscribe, whatever tickles your fancy. I'd be very, very grateful for reactions, because I always love to chat back with you folks. And of course, if you want to support my work, check out the Ko-fi link in the description box, or any of the other things. Ko-fi is just the best way to give me basically 100% of the support that you want to give towards me. The other available platforms just have by now taken a big cut, and yeah, if that matters to you, there's the recommendation. Apart from that, I want to say thanks for watching. Thanks for your time, and thanks for everything you guys do. Have a good one.